Look around you. What do you see? Do you see a well-dressed man trying to captivate your attention with an awesome introduction? Or maybe you're paying attention to that lava lamp over there. Or maybe the fact that my fly is undone is making you uncomfortable. Today I intend to present to you the importance of observation skills, and more specifically, how they apply to project management. Now, if I were to ask you what the difference between seeing and observing are, how would you answer? A little bit about me. I've always had a passion for detective stories. Ever since I was a kid, I loved the idea of deducing problems, finding all the clues. One of the greatest fictional detectives is the well-known Sherlock Holmes. Well, what does this have to do with anything? During my second term of internship at a company called RBH, that's Rothman, Benson and Hedges, I was given a lot more responsibility. I had proven myself my first term, so the second time around, they gave me a lot more tasks. There was essentially this big project which required 3 departments to work together. That was the IT department, the legal department, as well as the marketing department. So, given my little bit of skills dealing with each department, they gave me the role of facilitating coordination between each group. Basically, one department said this, and I had to explain it to another department and go back and forth. Sounds simple, right? It wasn't. There was a lot going on and a lot of issues that seemed to just be coming out of nowhere. I had no clue as to why these issues were happening. Well, things were getting worse and my damage control tactics weren't really working, so I asked a friend for assistance. This gentleman was my boss's boss, and he had experience within all those departments. I was a little shy going to him about this problem because I didn't know how he would react, but once I immediately did, he smiled and told me I was seeing everything going on, but I wasn't observing why. Now, I was familiar with this term, or this quote rather, but I had never thought of applying it to my management position. I want to take it to this man over here. This is Albert Bandura, the creator of social learning theory. Social learning theory is essentially the theory suggesting that learning is a cognitive process that takes place either in social contexts or can purely occur through observation or direct instruction. Key aspects of this theory revolve around attention, retention, motivation, and reproduction. This theory has proven so useful that it is incorporated into psychology, criminology, and even project management. A business, no matter how small or large, is run by people. That is an important concept which can be easily forgotten when you're so entrenched into your own work. One thing I'm sure you're all aware of is that humans aren't so great at observing things objectively. Many times our emotions, worries, and duties get in the way of our observation. For researchers, they call this observational bias, when researchers only look where they think they will find positive results, or where it is easy to record observations. They sometimes call this the straight-legged effect. Interestingly, a 2010 study conducted by Discovery Scientist magazine revealed that several confidential surveys spanning from different fields, anywhere from 10 to 50% of scientists have confessed to perpetrating or being aware of some sort of research misbehavior. There was simply a bias within their work, and they weren't looking at the right things. Bring this over to a corporate setting, and a study found that 70% of recurring issues within the office workplace happened because management was unable to truly identify what the problem was. So, what is the issue? Well, in my case, the issue was that I could not observe. I mean, I looked at all the technical aspects of the project to see if schedules would work, to see if things were actually feasible, and they weren't. But while I got caught up in all these aspects of my role and trying to perfect my portion and responsibility, my friend in upper management had reminded me that I was not observing the effects the project held on other individuals. I didn't notice a massive amount of things, like how some people didn't have a clue what was going on simply based off their position in the company, Others said they understood, but they really didn't. It was a big slap on the head when I realized that the issue was not my inability to work, but my inability to notice how others were poorly equipped to do their work. Remember I talked about social learning theory? This came to be my solution for the problems I had. For motivation, for ideas to really stick, there needs to be this synergy of thoughts and ideas. We learn through vicarious experiences, verbal persuasion, and psychological states, molding, or the scenario in which we see someone's behavior and adopt them as our own, aiding the learning process. This can only happen if we stand back and truly and non-biasedly observe what the problems are. Only then can we derive the solutions for success. You have to be a detective. Treat this like a science. In my case, I took a step back and found the solution. Held a massive meeting, which took forever to schedule, by the way. Some of you might know how that works. But the point of the meeting was to address every issue. I ended up not even talking. I was just sitting there in the corner watching people work it out. The cold reality I realized at the end of that meeting was that they didn't really need me. Had they done this from the very beginning, they would probably be having fewer issues. While this idea does really suck for me personally, it was a non-biased observation. Our decisions would be well served to take some advice from the great detective Mr. Holmes, to go beyond seeing and into the realm of observing, to take note of what's around you, take note of how or why something affects you. You might not turn into an expert crime solver, but I guaranteed you'd be surprised at the difference it can make in the quality of your life and your decisions, both in and out of the office.